to learn about Python functions. And what is a Python function, you might ask? Well, a Python function, function in any programming language, is a block of code which runs when it's called upon. And a function can do all sorts of things. For example, in programming, imagine we were programming a car, and we could have a function that checks the speed that a wheel is turning, and then responds with that value on our speedometer. So we know how fast we're going. So that could be a function. Imagine in a car we had brakes. And so what we could do with the brakes is we could, as we push on the brake pedal, the function could go and could make the calipers move based on the pressure that was put onto the brake pedal. How far the brake pedal was pushed would move the brake pedal a certain amount. So that's kind of my analogy of what a function is with an automobile. If we take a look at programming, what a function is some code that we can use. So for example, if I was going to create a function that is going to, square a number and then display it. So not only is it going to square the number, it's also going to print it on the screen. Actually, let's first just get a function to print square. So what we need to do is we start with the keyword def to define it. We then come up with some sort of name. So it could be name or print or whatever. And then after a function, there always is a parentheses and a colon. And so what this could do, let's just print 5 times 5 on the screen. Notice it's indented. We always indent our function. And so we can put one line of code, or of course, you can put as many lines indented as you would like. So we could do other things in here as well. Like I could just print a smiley face as well. I don't know why, but let's do that as well. So you can do a couple of things. And really one of the beauties at first when you start using functions is it can really avoid us typing in a block of code multiple times where we can accidentally make mistakes. And so that's one benefit of doing a function. We can really streamline how many things. So if there's things that we're going to do quite often, this would be a great way to do it. So how do I call upon the function and how do I get it to run? Like if I ran this program, in fact, I'll run it, it's going to do absolutely nothing. So let me just save it and I run it and it does absolutely nothing. People say, well, why didn't it print the smiley face or 25? It should have done that. There's some print statements. Well, the function does not get called. The lines of code that are indented do not execute unless we call upon them to be executed. So for example, in here, I'm going to say print square. And it's going to print the square. And in fact, I could do it a couple of times. So it's going to print 25 and a smiley face, and then it's going to print 25 and a smiley face. Because I call upon it here, so the computer is going to do the code here, and then I call upon it here, and the computer is going to do this. So let's run this again, and we see 25 and a smiley face, and then 25 and a smiley face. Yay, so it works. I can tell from the look of this class here, they're not too excited right now. Okay, so let's take a look at some other things. Well, this is kind of useless, this program, because it always prints 25. What if I want to tell it the number to square, and then it will square it? Okay, so what we can do is we can put up here a variable. I'll call it my var. And then in the parentheses, I can put a variable here, and it can print my var multiplied by my var. So if I do this, if I run the program right now, what we need to also do is we need to, in our print statement, we need to put a value in here. So let's put the value 5. In here, I'm also going to say, I'll create another variable, and I'll call it some other variable. And I'm going to set it equal to 5. And then I'm now going to, actually, let's do 2 so we know that it works. So it should do 2 times 2. I'm going to put some other variable here, and we should see some other variable is going to be passed. So it then takes my var, which is a different variable, but we pass it, like playing football. We're going to take this other variable, and we're going to pass it to my var, and now my var is going to equal what was passed to it. So it's going to be my var times my var, so it will be a different variable that has this value. And so let's run this, and let's take a look at what we get. And when we hit run, I don't know why it went on the other over here. You'll see it says 25, terrific, smiley face, yeah, and then 4 and smiley face. So in here, what happened when the program ran is the first time we pass a 5, and then my var receives the 5, like playing football, gets a catch, and then my var now has this value of 5. Another way to do it is we can actually pass it a variable, and I could say some other variable, give it a value 2, and then when I pass some other variable, that gets passed here. My var says, the variable was a 2, so it's now going to equal that 2 that was passed to it. And so that's why it did 4, and that's why it then printed the smiley face.